Welcome to a special edition of NHK Newsline. Today, March 11th, marks 14 years since the Great East Japan earthquake. In just a few moments, people across the country will pause for a moment of silence. We will bring that to you live. As we get started, please note that this program will contain footage you may find disturbing. On this day in 2011, the magnitude 9 quake triggered a massive tsunami, devastating wide areas across eastern Japan's Pacific coast. Over 22,000 people died or went missing. That figure includes deaths due to health problems or other complications related to the disaster. It also caused one of the world's worst nuclear accidents. The Tokyo Electric Power Company's Fukushima Daiichi power plant suffered meltdowns caused by the earthquake and tsunami. Now, since early morning, people in areas that were hit hard have been gathering to pay respects to those lost.
I sincerely hope those who died are resting in peace.
One man paid tribute with his passion for music. He was a high school student during the disaster and played his trumpet to people in evacuation centers.
Today, it's like I'm meeting with myself as I was 14 years ago. At the same time, on this day, I'm meeting with those who passed away. It's also a time to think about hope for the future.
This year's commemorations come at a tough moment for people in the city of Ofunato in Iwate Prefecture. The area, which was devastated by the tsunami 14 years ago, was recently struck by massive wildfires. The flames were only contained a few days ago after burning through dozens of homes. Residents who just watched parts of their community go up in smoke are now reflecting on two tragedies.
I hope neither a major quake, tsunami, nor a wildfire ever happens again.
The 2011 quake and tsunami devastated towns across Iwate, Miyagi, and Fukushima prefectures. Today, we're zooming in on Ishinomaki City in Miyagi. My colleague Takao Minori is standing by there for us. So, Minori, how are people there marking the day?
Miki, I'm right by a memorial park. And from the early hours of morning, we have seen people come here, both residents and visitors alike, to pay their respects. You know, this area was not empty like this all the time. 14 years ago, it was filled with houses, buildings, even a hospital. But most of that was washed away by the tsunami. Ishinomaki suffered one of the greatest losses of life from the disaster. According to the city, nearly 3,500 people died, including those who passed away from causes related to the disaster. And over 400 are still missing. Where I'm standing is about 800 meters from the coastline. This entire area is designated a flood-prone zone. But there is one building that remains standing, and that is the ruins of the Kadonowaki Elementary School. On that day when the tsunami rolled in, the first floor was inundated with seawater. But the students and the teachers were well prepared because they had practiced evacuating over and over again. On that day, they escaped to a nearby hill, and therefore, everyone who was here survived. That's why people who want to preserve this place want to pass that lesson on to future generations. They say that children today, most of them, have either vague memories of March 11th or no memory at all. And that's why with the passing of time, it becomes even more crucial that these lessons are not forgotten. As I speak, we are approaching 2:46 p.m., the exact time the initial quake struck. So I and many people here will be observing a moment of silence. Back to you, Miki.
Thank you very much, Minori. As she said, we are now approaching 2:46 p.m. here in Japan, the exact time the earthquake struck 14 years ago. People are getting ready to pause and remember the thousands of lives lost that day and in the days that followed. Today is also a day to remember why we pass their stories down to the next generation. As Minori said, it is becoming increasingly important to keep the lessons of 3/11 alive. Let's take you now to some of the disaster-hit areas for the moment of silence. The nation has just observed a moment of silence for the victims of the 2011 earthquake and tsunami. Well, as people in Japan offer prayers for the victims, they're also reflecting on the lessons learned. Japan is no stranger to natural disasters, and being prepared for one can make all the difference. That is why NHK has a website dedicated to providing information to keep you and your loved ones safe. Find it by scanning the QR code on your screen.
The name Bosai is the Japanese term for disaster preparedness. The website offers various tips and best practices in the event of earthquakes, tsunami, typhoon, or heavy snow. For example, this video explains what to do if a major earthquake strikes while you're at Narita Airport. NHK will be updating the site with additional content and regional information, so please take a look.
And that concludes this segment of our coverage marking 14 years since the Great East Japan earthquake. We'll be back at the top of the hour to look at the people passing down the memories and lessons from that day. We will also bring you the latest on the efforts to decommission TEPCO's Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. So please stay with us on NHK World Japan. Our coverage is also available on our website and the NHK World app. I'm Yamamoto Miki in Tokyo. Thank you for joining us.